Hey, welcome to another edition of Kyle Meredith with the interview series presented by WFPK at WFPK.org, Consequence, and the Consequence Podcast Network. Thank you so much for making your way here. You know the drill. If you like what you see, hit the subscribe button. I put out 3 new interviews every single week. It's a great way to keep up with all of your favorite artists. And I got to tell you, I am so happy and excited today to have Rag and Bone Man on here to talk about this new record, Life by Misadventure. Hi, sir. How are you?
Hey, bro. I'm well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, dude, congratulations on this record. It's, you set the bar high, I think, with the last album, and
Yeah.
here you already are back, and it's so good. Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, I know a part of this story takes place as you leave England behind for a little bit, and you come over here, right down the road from where I am in Louisville to Nashville. In fact, I was just talking with Yola, who had sort of done the same thing for her new record, and
Yeah, for real.
I don't know, is there a movement happening? Is that what you're trying to start here?
I think a lot of artists from the UK historically go to LA to write. But I've never really done that, and I have a very limited experience with LA, but it's very much like super pop
Mm-hmm.
in terms of like, the writers that are out there. And I just like Nashville as a place. I kind of fell in love with it a little bit. Not like the Nashville that's kind of like country music Disney, but the side of Nashville that's like the kind of roots of the music that I really love. You know, the Emmylou Harrises and the Townes Van Zandt and the Johnny Cash and the John Prine. That's the music that I really love. And yeah, I met some good friends out there as well. I made some really great friends and worked with some incredible musicians. So yeah, maybe there is a movement. I don't know. I mean, I've spoken to other artists from the UK, and I've said, like, if at any point you run out of inspiration while you're writing in the UK, don't rule out Nashville as a place to go, because I really think like it's so much more than country music these days. I think there's some, I wrote with like Natalie Hemby, who is an amazing artist in her own right, but wrote some really beautiful songs that I love, like for people like Labyrinth, and my friend Foy Vance said, like, you have to work with Natalie because she's amazing, and he wasn't lying, because she is amazing. And I got to write with Mike Reid and Alan Chamberlain, who wrote I Can't Make You Love Me, which is like my top 5 songs of all time. So that was like pinch myself dream shit, I loved it. I had such fun making this record.
Yeah, I mean, you're speaking my love language there with all of the artists that you mentioned, especially when you get into John Prine. I mean, for a long time, even though he seemed like he was always a legend, I feel like he was underappreciated for a bit of time in there, and that has changed in the past few years. And I hear you do take some inspiration from him on this record. Was there anything specifically that you were kind of trying to glean from his art?
Well, you'll know as a John Prine fan that he has this ability to put things so simply, but with just pieces, little golden nuggets along the way. And that's how I feel about John Prine. Like, they're like pieces of magic that happen in his lyrics. And I spent a lot of time listening to him, because I just think he's a genius lyrically. And I've never tried to copy anybody like that, but just to try and take something from his songwriting, the way he puts things and the way he is with words, just it can't not be inspiring. And we actually worked with Pat McLaughlin on this record, who was John's guitarist for quite a few years, and had written songs with John as well. So that was really cool to be in the room with Pat and just hear stories. Like, I could hear him talk forever about John Prine. Like, it was really beautiful.
It reminds me of one of the moments on this record, because we actually hear you talking to someone about guitar in the record right before, somewhere along the way, just some studio chatter. What's going on there? Who are you talking to?
That's Pat McLaughlin, and he's
Okay.
he's a really funny guy. He's an amazing guitarist, but he had this moment where he just couldn't quite play this riff, and then started to make jokes about, you know, being in bands playing guitar, but he was demoted to playing like the tambourine, because he couldn't get the riffs right. Yeah, it's nice to have those little human bits in the record because it lets people into that studio situation.
Yeah. I mean, it does. It didn't feel out of place. It's still so real amongst the songs.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you know, like it was strange how I did my first record, and I didn't think at any point to just record it with like a band live.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I went to do this record, I was like, why have I never done this before? Well, I don't know, you know, what have I been doing all this time? Why have I not done this? You know, and it's such a regular thing to do in Nashville, but I think over in the UK, nobody really does that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, unless you are a band, then most solo artists build a track and then record on top.
Right.
That's how it goes down, you know. And like my experience of doing it with a band just made me like vibe so much more and create a record where you can actually hear the instruments in the place they were in the room.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that makes people feel like they can hear the room, and then you know that makes it so much more personal, I think.
Yeah, like I'd wondered. I think it was another interview that you were doing recently. You were talking about eventually wanting to do some drum and bass like you'd done in your past and everything. Like,
Yeah.
Can you apply this type of sound to a genre like that too?
Yeah, for real. Like I've worked with a guy called Roni Size in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
He's from Bristol, and he's the kind of the crossover between, like, you know, the genre as a whole is seen as like very electronic, but he was someone that brought jazz and like really funky bass lines into that genre. So those worlds do collide. So you know, we'll see what the future brings.
Roni Size using the drummer from Soul Coughing. I don't know if he still does, but for a while there, like that was that's how that opened my world. That was my crossover moment for
real.
What was going on there. I'll get into the lyrics a little bit too here because, you know, you're talking about Prine and the way he tells the stories. I think you do a magical job of that on this album. You know, when you get the Crossfire and hearing you talk about that, you know, here we have the only two people left on the planet. And I don't know when it was written. I don't imagine it was written, you know, during all of this or whatever, as lots of songs, you know, come to represent where we were in this. But when do you realize that a song like that is starting to eerily make a little bit more sense than maybe when you wrote it?
It's so weird because the lyrics from this travel, they're probably like 5 or 6 years old. It was something that I'd written down, not musically with any melody in mind at all, just kind of how I felt in that moment when I was having that dream that was happening. And then we cut to, like, I was just down at the studio at my house in the garden, and my keys player from the band, Ben, just played this riff on the piano, and I was like, oh shit. And I was searching through on my notes on my phone, like, where is it? It's like, I found it, 2016 or whatever. And then the song was just born out of that. And then, but you're so right, because I hear it now and I think it sounds like it was written like yesterday about the situation that we're in, you know, in a kind of weird parallel universe that everybody feels like they're in.
Well, that's what makes a song classic. Absolutely. And, you know, again, you find those moments through here, especially, you know, the classic songs are the ones we relate to, I guess, or at least find ourselves in. Like, I hear you talk about the record being a hopeful record all in all. And I hear those moments as well, especially when we get towards the end of it. But there are parts where I also hear, I'll say, a person adrift. I don't always assume that the I in the song is about you. But there are those moments, you know. I don't know. Am I off on that? Because it sounded like the lonely moments weren't despair. Like, it almost sounded to me like the lonely moments were comfort leaning into that loneliness.
No, I think it kind of was despair, if I'm really honest. In part, like, I feel like the only really sad song is like Talking to Myself, and it was a song that I had to be coaxed into putting on the record because I wrote it in such a strange kind of vulnerable time where I did not feel good in my own body, in my own skin, and like had been through like a really shitty breakup, and we're just pretty much just at the bottom of a bottle for quite a long time. So I look at the song as like quite pathetic in a way, because it's just like what a lot of men do is feel very sorry for themselves when those kinds of things happen. So although like at the time I felt like really seriously kind of depressed and stuff, I look back at it now that the record's out into the world, like I don't feel so uncomfortable about it now.
Isn't that interesting?
Well, I remember speaking to my A&R, and he was like, Rory, you've got to keep this song on the record. It's so great. And I was like, dude, I really don't want it on the record. Like, it's too sad, and it reminds me of feeling this certain way. And they convinced me to keep it on as long as they didn't make it a single. But yeah, I'm not so bothered about it now. Now I hear it. Like now it's out into the world. It's made that feeling kind of disappear, which is pretty fucking cool, actually.
Yeah. When you give it to everybody else, it's not so much yours anymore. It's what it sounds like.
Exactly. Yeah. It becomes everybody else's,
Yeah, but it does get better throughout the ride. I mean, we're left towards the end here with Party's Over, and that goes into Old Habits. Where does that leave us?
Yeah. I really enjoy the end of this record because it gets like quite big and then goes back to this like recording that I did in my garage at home. I think it's the only successful song that I've ever written drunk. I think I kind of wrote that Old Habit song as the last song on the record when it was meant to finish on The Party's Over. But yeah, just before they sent the record to be mixed, I was like, no, I've got one more, and just gave them that. Which I tried to produce that last song, but it just didn't feel right, and so I just took my guitar and went into my garage, which has a really fucking great like reverb. It's just this big room, and took the piano from my studio and put it in the garage. And then we all just went down there and recorded it into one microphone. And like the first take of that is just what ended up on the record, which to me is great. It's just a bit of like, it's a scratchy kind of shitty recording, but it's got a bit of soul to it, which is nice.
Yeah, no, it's real. It's very real.
Yeah.
You mentioned soul. I do want to ask about, you've got a lot of amazing guests on this record, a lot of amazing players. Wendy Melvoin on here, though. We're talking Wendy from Prince.
Yeah.
Like, that's the one that stood out, obviously, because that's the one that didn't exactly make sense with everybody else. What was that experience like? Because there must have been, I mean, some stories there, hopefully.
The idea, well, I basically had some drummers that I was thinking of when I was doing this record. And I went to Mike Elizondo and I was like, look, I don't have these guys' numbers. I don't know these people. Like, can you approach them? And I was like, I really would love Derry Jones in this record. Because I went to New York and I saw this gig, and Daru was playing with like a James Brown tribute thing. It was a tribute to the Funky Drummer. And I saw Daru play and I was like fucking mind blown by the way he plays. And Mike was like, yeah, I know Daru, I'll phone him. I was like, that's cool. Amazing. And then we were also talking about, because what happened was Mike's a great guitarist too, but he played the guitar parts on this record when we were doing it live, and then approached me and said, I feel like Wendy could just do an amazing job with all this. If we gave her the whole record and said, do what you would do on this record. And I was like, what? How are you going to get Wendy Melvoin? And he was like, I know her really well. I was like, well, of course you do, because you're Mike Elizondo. So you can approach anybody. If I just approached her, she would have been like, who the fuck are you? But just such an amazing job. Like, on paper was like, I get what you're saying. Maybe with the other musicians, sounds a bit strange, but she added something cinematic to this record, especially the electric guitar parts. They blow me away.
Yeah.
She spent so much time and was so meticulous about the sounds that she uses that I think she's one of my favorite guitarists in the world. So,
yeah, no, it's again, it's the perfect recipe. What you've got on here. What was that?
Yeah,
the perfect recipe, and the duet with duet with Pink was great. I mean, the whole thing. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I can't compliment you enough on this.
Oh, bro, that's really nice. Thank you so much, man.
Yeah. Sir, again, Life by Misadventure, it is great. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk about it. This has been an honest pleasure. Congratulations on all of the success. And yeah, hopefully we'll see you around on this live show eventually.
Yeah, dude.